On today's Chasing the Game, we have Springfield head football coach Sam Arredondo. We talk about his career, leading him to the head job at Springfield, and what we can expect for the rest of the 2025 season. Chasing the Game starts right now. Welcome into Chasing the Game. Sam Arredondo is here. Sam, thank you so much for coming on and doing this. Appreciate it. Just how's life? How are things, man?
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Life's pretty busy right now. A lot of stuff going on, but trying to get a grip on it all and, just working through it.
Absolutely. You guys are coming off the week 4, right, against Perrysburg. You guys, not the result you wanted. Definitely not the game you guys wanted with the injury to Gabe Gregory, your guys' running back, who has been terrific for you guys so far this season. Any sort of update with him? How's he doing? How's the team doing?
Yeah, I got some texts over the weekend about him. He's in good spirits, considering. Same with the boys. They've been reaching out. I know they've been in contact with the family, trying to help out, get his living situation organized so he can, navigate his home and everything. So he's in good spirits. I'm not exactly sure on a timeline or anything like that, but it seems all good considering the fact of everything that happened this weekend.
Yeah, I know. Tyler Segerman, our sports guy who was at the game, saw that injury and he said it was not, did not look good initially. They had to obviously bring out the stretcher, the ambulance. And whenever you see that in a high school football game, it's not good. And so to hear that, that he's in good spirits, that's good. Prayers to him. Hopefully, he can make it back for more football. He's only a junior, so he's got a senior year still to look forward to. But yeah, it was definitely a scary thing. So hopefully he can get back as soon as possible. What does he mean to this team? Just spiritually, emotionally, mentally. What does he mean to this team? Not just as a running back.
Yeah, Gabe is definitely one of our leaders. Maybe more from the energy standpoint, and like you say, you get in the spirituality standpoint of just the spirit of the team. He is always high energy. He's always ready to go, very confident, and I think that obviously is contagious. If he's feeling good and he's feeling like he can do whatever we ask him to do, I think his teammates feel that, and they have that same confidence. So I am excited to see who will step up and kind of fill that role for us moving forward. I know he wants to be around, and will try to do that the best he can, while he's in the recovery phase, but he means a lot to our team. It is definitely hard to put it into words.
Yeah. Do you guys have an idea of, who's going to step up, or maybe it's a group of people, maybe it's running back by committee, who's maybe going to fill his shoes in the meantime?
Yeah, position-wise, it's definitely going to be running back by committee. I've always told the kids since we started, it's going to be a competition every week. Some teams might say that, but we mean it. We don't want anybody getting comfortable. We call it productive discomfort. That is what's going to make them better. So as far as who steps up and kind of fills that energy leader role, I think it'll be another group effort. We've been blessed with this senior class, and as far as what they're able to bring to the table, their maturity, they're kind of hungry to be successful. And we got a great group of guys that are, I think, going to step up and take on that energy leader role.
Yeah, you guys are 2-2 right now. You guys had the surprise win over Maumee. I think a lot of people were not really expecting Springfield. You guys have obviously been good in the past, but have struggled in years like recently. So to come out and get that win over Maumee was obviously a surprise. Then you get the win over Northview. Then you guys have this brutal stretch right now where it's Findlay, it's Perrysburg, and then Findlay. You get these D1 teams. What's it like trying to keep guys focused through a 3-game stretch like that, where you got to go up against some of the biggest schools in Ohio?
Yeah, well, I think it's always a challenge to keep teenagers focused, almost on anything that doesn't have to do with the screen these days. So, yeah, and calling the opening wins and stuff a surprise, I think that was to the general public, but we fully expected, to be successful in all these games. So, yeah, these 3 games against the D1 schools, that's always exciting for us. As a D2 school, if we win, we get extra computer points. And we were looking forward to it. Obviously, the game Friday with Gabe going down and then a couple other guys and just trying to maintain that high energy. It was pretty difficult after the injury, but I think the boys are focused on one day better. We're just trying to get better every single day. That's been their job description since the beginning of the season. So I tell them not to worry too much about all the rest of that stuff, whether we win or lose or what people are saying or not saying. It's just about getting better.
Yeah, I mean, you guys don't have to worry about obviously like what people are saying, but as someone like in the media, obviously I worry about like, man, like what do people think about this team? What do people think about this team? Who do you think is going to be really good this year? Who do you think is going to be maybe struggling? Who's going to be down? Who's going to be up? And it was a surprise to people because Maumee is obviously coming off the last few seasons they've had under Karshner, and they've been very good. And you guys hadn't won more than 2 games since 2019, I think, and you guys come out and you win your first 2 games right away. Was that a surprise maybe for you, not just that you won, but in the way that you guys won over Maumee? I mean, it was a 28-point game, I think, over Maumee. Northview's obviously, they've gone through some struggles the last few years, but you guys get a win over them. You get back-to-back wins for the first time in a while. Just what was that like?
It was really exciting, to be part of it, have the kids experience that. Like you said, it's been a while since they kind of had that hype train going, and that definitely kicked it off. So it was really cool to see that and hear them talk about it and be excited about the prospects of the season and what's to come. We didn't necessarily know how the game was going to end, but we were confident in the game plan and the kids we have, and we have a lot of athletes that we're excited to get the ball to and spread it around and just play football and have fun with it.
Did you think that was the way that you were going to beat Maumee? Is like, listen, if we get the ball out to our playmakers, if we spread the ball around, we'll be able to beat. Was that sort of the game plan going in? Did you think, okay, if we can do these things and we can execute that, then we'll have a chance to not just win, but win convincingly?
Yeah. I thought we had enough playmakers that it's really hard to defend the entire field. As a defensive coach, that's kind of my background as a coach, a defensive assistant for a long time. Any team that can get you to cover sideline to sideline and, obviously vertically, you really struggle to put a good, solid game plan together because you're not really sure where they're going to attack you. So I thought this year we kind of had those types of players to be able to give us that success and stress out a defense in the same way.
Yeah, you guys, like I said, 2 wins, for I think a bunch of consecutive seasons. It was 2-8, 2-8. You've been with Springfield a long time now. I think you said 14 was your first season with Springfield. So you were there when Gucciardo was there. The offense was just, I remember those Springfield offenses back in the day were just
they were fun.
Yeah, they were fun. They scored a lot of points. What was that like being a part of? I mean, you've been under Gucciardo. At Springfield, you were Whitmer last year. Just what's it kind of like learning under him? Even though you're on the defensive side, what's it like kind of being under him and his staff and just being a part of kind of his mind in practice rooms?
Yeah, I was very blessed to start under Pat. He's a great coach. He knows a lot about football. He knows a lot about kind of what needs to be done behind the scenes to make sure that you're in a place to be successful when game times start. He showed me the ropes, put me in a lot of different positions to be able to gain experience. And a lot of the things that apply to me now, it started really back under him and me giving me those chances as an assistant coach, freshman head coach, or JV defensive coordinator. And just, seeing the day in and day out, kind of teaching in the building. I'd be up there sometimes when it would be just me and him, and we would be able to talk about just different things that he was dealing with or having to do that, you don't really know until you start coaching, getting into that world and seeing all the things there are to do. And then following him up with Coach Bell, who is a great guy, great, culture guy, a great leader through COVID, and trying to handle and manage all that stuff back at those times. Followed up by Coach Smith, who, is a great defensive coach and defensive mind. And then a year at Whitmer under Coach Winters last year is, that was a really cool experience for me to go over there, that community, that culture. They love football, and I learned a lot there. So, but it was very exciting to be able to come back to Springfield where I teach. I've been there this will be year 12 in that building, and just really get back to what feels like home now.
Yeah, absolutely. And there seems to be kind of this funny Springfield Whitmer pipeline where it's you were over there at Whitmer for a year. Jerry Bell was obviously Whitmer's coach, back in the day when they were, a really feared team, early 2010s. They were going to, deep playoff runs. So it's just funny how, these things are, it's cyclical. What is the Springfield community like for the people who don't know, the people who aren't around it? What's it like kind of being in that building, kind of being around Holland, being around, the people in that community?
It's really special. It's a very special community. It's hard to describe. I come from a small town, Delta. Shout out to the Panthers. But I will tell people, Springfield reminds me a lot of Delta. It's much bigger, but it still has that very tight-knit community feel. There's a lot of people that have been there their whole lives and maybe even for generations, and it means a lot to them. to see the school be successful, the football team be successful. There's always people reaching out and trying to help, from different areas and walks of life. The band director, Travis Pinnell, he's helped us out, and we've talked a lot behind the scenes. Megan Cantu, our cheerleading coach, he's always helping us out and giving advice or whatever with like timing on certain events or game events and stuff like that. So it's just really special. Rob Brown, our principal, is an alumni Dick Siegel Award winner back in 1989, 1990. And that award means a lot to our program. It represents leadership, which is, kind of the pinnacle of, team sports is like, what is the leadership like? And I'm trying to teach our kids that kind of the same thing. Like, how are we helping each other? How are we helping this community? We were playing for them, it's bigger than us. And that's been a message that's been preached pretty consistently.
Yeah. Was that part of the pitch when you're applying to be the head coach? You want to be like the leader of the program. Do you go to them and you're like, hey, listen, like this is, what Springfield is. This is what this community means. It's a tight knit thing. Like, what did you kind of tell them? What was kind of in the interview? What was your pitch, I guess, to them?
I think I really leaned on my passion and then vision for the program, which the focal point is leadership. To me, that was the center of everything. That's where everything starts in a game like football. And obviously with me at the top, I'm going to get a lot of the media attention or my name out there. But I've been telling people as they've come up to me and said, like, hey, I've seen you around a lot in the news. There should probably be about 50 other names followed up, if not before me, because I'm getting so much help from so many different people. Again, our school board, Sherry Koback, and just so many other people. So leadership, a big part of it, but to me, that's more just relationships, and it's back and forth, give and take. I might lead in this instance, and then there's going to be a situation down the road where I need to follow your lead, whether you're a kid, an adult, for whatever reason. To me, that's more of what it's about. It's how can we help each other to accomplish these goals that we're all chasing.
Yeah, and you guys, again, 2-2 this season. What is sort of your vision? Injuries, everything notwithstanding. What is sort of your vision for this season? What is sort of your long-term vision for the program? Where do you kind of see this program going?
Starting with this season and kind of taking over, like you said, the last few years, and just what is realistic, but also like what's appropriate for a game like football. It's hyper competitive. We're not trying to sit back and just kind of underachieve or average even. We want to be successful. So we set the goals pretty early to win the NLL Cardinal, to host a playoff game, and to win a playoff game. And those are our three goals, keeping us focused, week in and week out. And so right now, all of them are still ahead of us. We've dealt with the injuries, like you said. And again, a beautiful thing about a game like football, it's bittersweet, but it's always next man up, right? So it allows you to kind of get right past the excuses of, these guys are hurt or whatever, and it's still, these are our goals. This does not change because, everybody in the program, if they've been doing what they're supposed to, we would be able to expect them to step in and fill their role.
Yeah, and it's funny because you guys have played, I talked about the 3-game stretch with all these Division I teams. You guys have already played Northview. Those are all Buckeye Division opponents, right? So those don't count against your guys' record, right, for the Cardinal. So I know some people, they'll lose 2 games and, by week 4, they say, our season's still ahead of us. And sometimes it's not really true, but you guys truly are in this position. You're halfway through the season. You've got these games against these big D1 opponents, but your season is still ahead of you, right? Like you still got the Cardinal Division. So I guess from that perspective, are you guys, is it hard to kind of keep guys engaged from that regard? Like we still have the Cardinal games coming up. Like you guys got to remember, like we still have all this like ahead of us.
Yeah, I think that they're aware of that, and I think that does help kind of when you're going through this streak, a couple losses in a row. Now we're dealing with some injuries or whatever, but again, football is a great game to forget about excuses. Next man up. We do have the league schedule where we got 4 tough opponents. I think Napoleon is kind of surprising some people, maybe similarly to how we are, but they've been very competitive in their games and stuff. So it's challenging on the one hand, and on the other hand, I think the boys are aware all of our goals are still attainable as long as we keep doing what we're supposed to day in and day out, just getting better.
Yeah, you guys have like you said, Napoleon, there's Southview, you got like all these kind of scrappy teams. It's like it's really hard to play in that Cardinal division. I feel like anyone could beat literally anyone. I know people say that about certain leagues, like everyone's tough, but that Cardinal division is so interesting to me because it really feels like anyone could win that division, especially with Clay now, being up in the Buckeye division. It feels like it could be anyone's, league at this point. So, like we've said, a lot of football left to be played. Anything that people should kind of be aware of as we go into, I guess we're going into the back half of the regular season stretch here. Anything that people should kind of be aware of for Springfield, as we go into this second half of the regular season?
Not as far as I can think of, besides, kind of what they've seen out of us and maybe some of that excitement. We'd like them to continue to be excited about what's to come. We really try to mix up our approach and what we're doing based on that week's opponent and, what we're trying to do. So I think, at the end of the day, like you're saying, the league we're in is very, very competitive. It's very unique as far as like the schemes you're going to see week in and week out. It is not, you're seeing the spread every week. And so you can have a consistent rhythm at practice. You might see one offense one week, another offense the next week that you completely got to get your scout players to kind of understand early in the week and hope and pray, they can execute it close enough to the opponent and then, see what happens on Friday. But I would say I would hope everybody could expect us to be competitive and prepared in good sports.
Absolutely. Sam, Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on and doing this.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for this episode of Chasing the Game. Be sure to check out all of our other episodes on the WTOL 11 Plus app. You can download for free on your Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, or Apple TV. You can also watch and listen to all of our episodes on YouTube and on Spotify. We'll see you guys next time.